Well, today we're getting a very special tour of a very special place, the Milton Hershey School.
We're going to learn about the connection between the school and the town of Hershey, as well as meet some of the over 11,000 alumni.
This is life-changing.
In our first Hershey episode, we took you along to some of the must-visit spots in the sweetest place on earth. From Hershey Park to the Hershey Story Museum, we made chocolate bars, ate delicious chocolate milkshakes, strolled through Milton Hershey's beautiful gardens, and learned all about how Milton Hershey built a vibrant community around his chocolate company. And in part 2, we're diving deeper into the Milton Hershey School.
It has been a huge blessing for me and my family.
It's changed my life forever.
It's the greatest gift ever.
It's very satisfying.
I have been a part of Milton Hershey now for 15 years as an employee and 6 years as a student.
You'll meet people whose lives have forever been changed by the generosity of Catherine and Milton Hershey more than 100 years ago. What began as the Hershey Industrial School in 1909, a place for orphan boys, has grown into a campus of over 7,000 acres, providing top-tier K-12 education for over 2,000 qualifying girls and boys. All of the students' tuition, clothing, school supplies, housing, meals, and more are completely taken care of through their education thanks to the Hershey Trust. Catherine and Milton Hershey loved children but couldn't have any of their own, and so they directed their immense wealth from the namesake chocolate company to give back and make a difference for future generations. Mr. Hershey made a massive donation in 1918 for the benefit of his school that was kept secret for years. He had quietly placed all of his shares from the chocolate company, worth roughly $60 million, into a trust whose sole purpose was to benefit the school. Today, the trust and its investments are worth over $21 billion. The news was eventually leaked years later and of course made headlines. The man who founded the sweetest place on earth had a sweet spot for ensuring that children who needed it would benefit for years to come.
So we are at Founders Hall. This building was built in 1970 to honor our founders, Milton and Catherine Hershey. When we built it in 1970, it was the second largest unsupported dome in the world, second to St. Peter's Basilica in Rome. 74 feet to the interior, 137 feet to the exterior of the dome, so quite massive. So our state flags are represented. If you count them, there are 39 there because that's how many states we represent in our student body this year.
And how did you come to work here?
Well, my husband is a graduate of the school. He came many years ago when it was all boys. His father, after surviving 7 major battles of the war in the Army, came home to Scranton, Pennsylvania area and went back to work in the coal mines and was killed in a coal mining accident. So that's how my husband actually arrived here, but he's very grateful for what the school provided for him. And so when he retired, he said, well, I have to get involved in something that's worthwhile. So we ended up coming back to Hershey, and we help out here with tours a couple days a week. It's his way of giving back and showing his appreciation for what the school did for him. We accept no government funds and no donations. The only thing that continues to feed our trust are some of the profits from the candy company and the entertainment company. So every time you eat a candy bar, you're helping to support our school.
You can feel good about eating chocolate.
Yes.
If you want to visit the Milton Hershey School while you're in town, Founders Hall is open to visitors and paints an amazing picture of Catherine and Milton Hershey's legacy from the past to the present.
Each pillar kind of tells a story of a student here at MHS, which is really exciting. And you can walk around and you can look at each of them. And then this exhibit here is more of an interactive exhibit. It's our alumni one, so it's anybody that's been here, kind of shows some old pictures. It's really awesome.
We had the chance to meet Elizabeth Parrott, who's been working in Founders Hall during her brief hiatus as a house parent.
My husband and I came as flex house parents, so that's usually how you start out. You come in and you're almost like a substitute house parent. And so we had the opportunity to shadow in middle division a bunch of different homes, and we really decided that our heart was middle school girls. Crazy, I know. So after about 6 years, I had my third child. I was able to stay here in this capacity working in the visitor center, but our heart is with the students and all that. So now that the dependency has changed, we've been able to come back, and we're really, really excited. We're going back to middle school girls.
So how did you find out about being a house parent?
All right, so this is really cool. My parents are elementary school house parents. They started when I had gone off to college. I got to kind of like be, a fly on the wall for that. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could do this. My husband and I could do this. He was a teacher, I was a social worker. And so we kind of said, as soon as we hit that age requirement, we're going for it, we're doing it. And so that's what we did. And we haven't looked back since. It has been a huge blessing for me and my family, and you're feeling the difference that you're making, the difference that your family is making is just so incredible. And I can't say enough positive things about it.
If you do visit Founders Hall, you just might have a chance to meet Rodney Drake. He's the guest safety coordinator here, and like so many others, has found his way back to the place that forever changed his life.
My dad died of cancer at 26 years old. My mother was widowed at 22 and had a 5'3" and a 2-year-old, and she didn't know which way it was up. But my aunt was a school nurse in Western Pennsylvania, and she knew about the school, had already helped some families get their kids into the school. And so my mom saved money over several months and then drove the 2 hours here and back. And when she got home and realized there was a place to give her 2 boys everything she wanted to, but she didn't have the means, she enrolled us in Milton Hershey School. May 22nd, 1967. It's the day our lives changed forever.
That's ingrained in you.
I know that date better than my birthday. My house parents instantaneously kind of became new parents to me because I didn't really understand what was going on. And they were just so incredible to me that actually 5 years ago, I moved my 90-year-old elementary house mother into my own home to take care of her. Wow. But that's what Milton Hershey's about. It's about building connections, building those relationships, and they'll last a lifetime. When you come from absolutely nothing, Milton Hershey's they give you everything. So to come from such a poor environment to something where every need was met, we were loved on a constant basis, teachers cared deeply for us, and I really kind of started to notice the change as I was going into high school, that I'm part of something that's pretty darn special here. And tried to prepare myself as good as I could for graduation, but really it was just a life impact of having 15 brothers in the home at all the time, always something to do with, but house parents that cared deeply for us. And when we were having a bad day, they were more than glad to sit down with us. Kind of like when I got married and my house parents sat in the row with my mom. When my mom asked me about it, I said, this was Mom and Dad when you couldn't be for whatever reason. I can't imagine being a 22-year-old mother and having to make a decision to give your boys to someone or somewhere else to raise. But it was the best gift that she ever gave my brother and I, was Milton Hershey School.
And you're obviously back here now. So tell me about your journey full circle to get back.
Well, I got to tell you, it's crazy. I get to come home every day and work. How bad is that? So did 3 years in the Army. I got out for 10. My wife and I came back as relief house parents from 92 to 95, and we loved that. And then I decided to go back in the service. So I went in for 24 more years, retired from active with the National Guard here in Pennsylvania in July of 15. I put an application in for campus safety in February of 2015, got a phone call, hey, just want to do a phone interview with you, and got an email the next day that, sorry, you're not going any further. And out of the blue, I get a phone call in April, we'd like to bring you in for an interview. And so, I was at the same time, I was trying to extend to do 30 years in the Army, but when I had an opportunity to come home, I wasn't going to pass that up. And so I came back here on June 15th of 2015. This is life-changing. It's changed my life forever. And just to be able to love your child enough to provide this opportunity and let the school do what they do. We have incredible folks here. And the beauty of Milton Hershey School lies in the hearts of the people that change these kids' lives every day.
If you could say anything to Milton Hershey, what would you say?
Sorry.
It's okay.
I would go up to Mr. Joseph Hershey, and I would give him a hug, and I would tell him I love him, and thank them for changing my life.
We started our behind-the-scenes portion of our tour by learning all about home life here at MHS. One of the most vital roles here on campus is that of a house parent. These are married couples who move onto campus and dedicate their time to fulfilling that parental role while the children are attending school here. There are dozens of houses spread throughout the 7,000-acre campus where groups of 8 to 12 students live. So while MHS is a boarding school, this isn't your typical dorm situation. The student houses are equipped with bedrooms, kitchens, living rooms, rec rooms, everything needed to make a house a home while the kids are away from theirs. And the all-important house parents live in an attached apartment so that they can take care of the students while also having their own space. It's one of the coolest and most unique setups we've seen. We were invited into a student home to meet amazing house parents Brian and Angela Syes.
So welcome to Student Home Hingle. We live here with our 12 middle division girls. This is our rec room. The girls come in. We have games over there, and then they can watch TV. And then ping pong, of course. Sometimes we get into nice little tournaments, and everybody wants to beat Mr. So.
The Syes started as relief house parents back in 2004, meaning they would step in as house parents on the weekend or when full-time house parents had time off.
My girls do laundry. They do hair, of course. Cooking. We've started, they can do a breakfast. Starting dinner. Of course, they can bake cupcakes. Bake cookies.
They did that for 13 years before becoming full-time house parents in 2017.
What's your favorite part of being a house parent?
I love to watch them smile. I mean, just their little silly quirks and stuff. That kind of brings me happiness watching that.
It's growth.
Oh, yeah. Well.
You can see when they come in as fifth graders to the time when they're seventh, eighth grade, and the growth physically, mentally, emotionally, just you see them growing up, and they're making better decisions and things of that nature. So we are reaping some of those benefits with some seventh graders, and I love it when they help the little ones out, and I'm like, oh, look at that, all this talking was for something. It's sticking, they're getting this. So yeah, our parent sponsors, which are the parents to our children, we call them sponsors. We have a really good connection, and that's the first thing we tell them. Listen, we're doing this together. So we're a team, and that's how we do it. I talk to them a lot. I text them. I've given them my personal cell number. Text me, I call them. I'll send them pictures of their child just so that way it's family.
What would you tell other people who are considering becoming house parents or maybe are starting to look into it? What would you say to them?
Do it. You do not know the amount of love that's in your heart until you are parenting somebody else's children. You don't know it, do it. It's the greatest gift ever.
It's very satisfying.
How long do you think you all will keep doing this?
We got a couple more years at least. Yeah. I would like to do 3 or 4.
Yep.
Yeah, I would. And then I want to go to Maine.
Get that lobster roll.
At the root of it all at MHS, students are given access to quality education and top-notch extracurricular programs.
We've got 12 career and technical areas, and these are the different certifications. So every student is going to graduate minimum of 2 up to as many as 10 nationally recognized certificates and license. Start learning about the career opportunities in elementary. In middle school, they start integrating it into the lessons. In 8th grade, they come down and they visit all 12 areas. In 9th grade, they pick 4. They spend a marking period in those 4, and then they choose one that they're going to focus on 10 through 12. And they're going to graduate with nationally recognized license certificates, as well as going through a full college prep.
We were given a tour of some of the amazing facilities here on campus by Terry Donaher, Regional Admissions Recruiter, and Mike Kinney, Manager of Community Relations, who also happens to resemble someone a bit famous around here.
I can't go to the elementary building without kids saying, "You look like Mr. Hershey." And I say, and actually in the middle school, that's sort of my nickname. And a lot of times I'll jokingly say, "Well, I always heard he was an extremely good-looking guy." Yeah. and then they give me that look.
Mike just celebrated 22 years here.
22 years, yeah. And I had 17 years at the Hershey Company before coming here. And I thought I knew a lot about the school. Until you're here and you spend at least a year, you don't really get the full breadth of it.
We're going to cruise on down here to this one little wing. I think one of our career technical pathways that is most easily to showcase would be our culinary arts program, because I think we all know about cooking and we all love to eat. And one of the things that stands out to me is a few years ago, they were able to create a recipe that would be used by NASA astronauts who were living up in the International Space Station. And then they got to live chat with them about the meal that they produced, which, I mean, could you imagine talking to an astronaut while they're actually in outer space and our students are down here? And that just gives me goosebumps to think about that as a core memory, because what other student gets to do that? And then this facility here, indoor track for our students, as well as a fitness center for our athletes and our students to work out.
So basketball, wrestling, volleyball. And I think if you set the expectations high, the kids are going to meet that. You give them a clean, beautiful place, they want to keep it that way. To me, that was one of the things that surprised me most when I first got here, is just how much pride the kids have.
During our tour, we also learned that Terry was a graduate of MHS and also served as a house parent.
Came when I was in 7th grade as a 12-year-old. Coming here was just truly life-changing for me. Our 2,000 plus students that we have here today, or the 11,000 plus graduates that we've had at Milton Hershey, I think would all echo that same sentiment, that they just feel so indebted to our founders for what they did for us. And that is really why I wanted to come back here to work here as well. If you can come back and make the connection to one student and really feel like you've done something for that one student, that's a lifelong thing that I cherish. And so as a house parent, I had that. As an admissions recruiter, I have that now as well. Very happy to be back here.
Supporting the needs of this many students is a massive undertaking and requires a lot of logistics and people to pull it off. Every meal, all articles of clothing, school supplies, housing supplies, and more are taken care of for each and every student.
It's our central preparation facility. All evening meals come out of here. As far as evening meals, we offer 2 choices in 2 different sizes, Monday through Friday. We run a 6-week cycle menu, so it goes full 6 weeks before it repeats. That's why you see a lot of large production. You know, we don't do a lot of fried items, but when we do, obviously you need a fryer, but probably 5% or less comes out of there. Most everything's done in these rotating ovens. If I would go in and look at snacks, it'll list everything with pictures, at prices, size, and they just make a shopping cart and then they check it out.
And so the house parents are managing this. They're doing the orders, and then they're managing
the orders,
their budget.
correct. They're working with their budget and placing the orders through there, and we put it together here. All laid out by routes, so the drivers know, which ones to take and so forth. There's two for each home. There's 9 different routes.
And it's not just food that they're supplying here. Everything from hair ties to mouthwash to cleaning supplies, all of that can be ordered online by the house parents, and then it gets sorted and sent out to the house. So they have everything available to them that they would need to live.
One of my favorite parts of our tour was getting to go behind the scenes at the clothing center. When a student is accepted to MHS, they are supplied with and fitted for everything they need, from school uniforms to activewear, backpacks, several types of shoes, dress clothes, undergarments, loungewear, and many of the items are name brand, including Crocs shoes and Speedo swimwear.
And part of the curriculum here at the Milton Hershey School is that every student has to learn how to swim before they graduate, so they are all issued a bathing suit.
And to give you a sense of volume, the clothing center supplied over 38,000 pairs of socks to students last school year alone. As a student ages and grows, they will continue to be outfitted for as long as they are here at MHS. We were also given an amazing opportunity to visit Kinderhaus, which is the oldest building on the property and is now home to the Department of School History and houses most of the school's artifacts.
It was created in 1817, so almost 100 years before the school was even started. It was actually built by Milton Hershey's great-grandfather. So this house predates Milton. It was a student home. It was the second student home after the homestead, and it was a student home until 1996. So it was a student home for quite a long time. You can see in this picture here, these are like some of the first students here in front of Kinderhaus, and that was the old barn. So the first employees of the school were George Copenhaver and his wife. We also consider them to be like the first house parents. He's also technically the first president of the school, but they would have been the first official employees.
Wow.
This is Rodney Drake Student Leadership Society certificate, and then this is his varsity band.
Aww.
So this is the vault. The classes used to make these class scrapbooks, and each year they would get more and more elaborate, and the class of 1985 are super overachievers. It's also Pete Gert's graduating class. They made theirs out of wood. So just, if you want to feel how heavy this is, it's insane.
That is really comical.
The most overachievers.
How many students did it take to carry this?
That's a great question. You have to ask Pete. Oh, here's the band one. So you can see the HIS band. So that would have been before 1951 when the school changed its name.
Have these been donated by alumni?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And people will always say to us oh, you probably don't want this, it's from the 90s, but I found this other thing from the 70s, and I'm like, no, I want the thing from the 90s too, because in 50 years, we're not gonna have anything from the 90s because nobody gave me anything.
Right, I'll take it all.
Yeah.
90s, 80s.
Yeah, exactly.
When we have students come in, we always like to show them this. He sent basically everybody there home with a piece of birthday cake. And we have it still. So I like to tease the kids like, and you get to try these. But they're in these little boxes. Oh my gosh. Just little pieces of chocolate cake from his 81st birthday.
Oh my goodness.
So it's pretty old, it's petrified, so it won't decay. That's one of the crazier things that we have here is that we have food from when Milton Hershey was still around.
Petrified birthday cake.
Well, today is one of those days where I feel like extremely thankful and just honored that we get to share some of the stories that we get to.
It's just incredibly humbling too, the number of people that we met that are truly changing children's lives and continue to do it for years and decades. We met former students who became teachers and became house parents and are continuing the legacy of Milton Hershey even today. I'm just blown away.
And it was just fascinating too to see some of the behind the scenes and the process and how the school runs as a well-oiled machine. Everything from the supplies that they need to the clothing to the food that they're eating on campus and at home. It's just, it all works and it takes so many people and so many processes and it's all integrated. And I know it's a lot of work, but to look at it from the outside, it's seamless. What was one of your favorite parts of today?
I loved meeting Angela, the house parent. One, her personal story was very touching, but two, she loves what she does and she loves being that mother figure, like a bonus mom to all of these girls. And, you know, and she consistently sticks with the middle school age, you know, because she feels like that's where she can make the greatest impact. And I applaud her for that.
I know, it's just like to be able to dedicate your life like that and see these kids transform and grow and know that you're making a difference, that is incredibly special. It takes a very special type of person to do that work.
All the students live like a small family with house parents, and they are always looking for additional house parents.
And I think it is such a cool and extremely unique role, and hearing from the Syes how the schedule works, and you still have a lot of downtime and time together as a couple in the mornings and the evenings, like you're dedicating your life to those kids, and it's just such a cool integration of your life with theirs and being able to fulfill that very important role while they're away from a biological parent or a caregiver.
And if you're interested in learning more, we'll have a link in the description as to how you can apply to become a house parent. Listen, it is actually a pretty good deal because not only are you getting paid, but as we showed, all of your food, all of your personal supplies, everything is covered, including housing.
Yeah, you just have to be, I think it's at least 27 years old, married for at least 2 years. You can have up to 3 children of your own. And yeah, there's a whole application process that you can go through. They're actively recruiting and looking for house parents. So if that's something that you feel like is of interest to you and you want to look into, highly recommend it. We heard from multiple people who have been house parents, are current house parents, just how incredible of an opportunity it really is. Just to hear from people whose lives have forever been changed, like the trajectory of their life truly went in a completely different direction because of this school. It's an incredible place and you really can feel it when you're here on campus.